Now, every now and then, we like to check in with the Irish diaspora and see what life is like in their part of the world.
Now, today we are heading to Washington State, USA, to chat to a Cork man who, along with his wife Kathy, decided to raise their 3 children as Gaeilge. Caoimhin de Barra, cechi bhfuil tú inne?
Tá mé go hána bhfad ar fad agus céad faoibh seo.
Tá míad ar rós ar fad. Cé tá leat an uva, Caoimhin? Cé tá sin leat?
So tá an seo má iní amháin saoirse agus muí eile aisling. So tá agus tá búcail a gom freisin taig ach bhí taig beag an ró óg a bheith ar an telefísioniu.
Fair play, Caoimhin. Caoimhin, why did you decide to raise the kids trí Gaeilge stateside?
Yeah, I suppose I was actually someone who was actually pretty weak at Irish for a long time in school, and I came to the United States in 2006, and I really kind of took an interest in the Irish language then. So I actually only became fluent when I actually after I moved to the United States, and I'd heard a story about a guy who was teaching an English guy who was teaching mathematics in UCC, and apparently he moved to Ireland and decided to raise his entire family through Irish after he had children, and I was always kind of inspired by that story. And so as I grew better at Irish, I decided, well, if I ever have kids, I would like to do the same. At the time, I thought I would actually be back living in Ireland, but as it turns out, my wife and I are living in the United States, and we have 3 lovely kids. But yeah, I decided from day one that we raise them bilingually, so I only speak Irish to my children, and my wife speaks English to them, and the kids speak both languages then.
Absolutely fantastic. Caoimhin, is it a difficult thing to do when you're living in America?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it is. I obviously, in Irish isn't my first language either, so it definitely takes at the beginning it took a little bit of an effort. I remember early on when my first daughter Aisling was born, I'm trying to think up words like, what's the Irish for mermaid, what's the Irish for unicorn, what's the Irish for vampire, all these kind of children's words you use all the time in English, but I didn't know what they were in Irish, so I had to look them up, and I know now. But creating a kind of a mini Gaeltacht in our house, it does take a little bit of effort. But my wife Kathy's been very supportive of the efforts, and the kids have been very good about speaking back to me in Irish as well. Aisling in particular, my oldest, she speaks back to me only in Irish. And so, yeah, we have a little micro Gaeltacht here in Spokane, Washington.
A miniature Gaeltacht in Washington State. Tell us, where are you in Washington State, and tell us about the area you live in.
Yeah, so we're in Spokane, which is actually on the eastern half of the state. So a lot of people think Washington, think Seattle and rain, but actually eastern Washington, we're right on the border with Idaho. We can actually see Idaho out our window, and so we go to Idaho to buy petrol and things like that because it's cheaper than in Washington. It's a very kind of it's actually a very dry region. During the summer we get almost no rain at all, and there's no humidity, and it's hot and it's great, except it's also kind of conditions that are perfect for wildfires, and so that's kind of a hazard you have to put up with a couple of times this summer as well. But the climate is pretty nice overall. The area itself is very outdoorsy. So during the summer, we like to go hiking on mountains.
Lovely.
Huckleberry picking is a big activity. So we've gone on a few huckleberry hunts. And then in winter, skiing is one of the big activities in the area. And my daughter Saoirse is very determined to show you guys her 2 soccer medals she this year.
That's so cute.
Caoimhin, can I ask you, what do you work at there?
So I'm a professor of history at Gonzaga University, Irish history.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, lovely, absolutely.
We always ask people when we chat to them living abroad, the prices of certain items. For example, pinta, what price is a pint? No, cup on cafe, what price is a cup of coffee?
Yeah, so I guess a cup of coffee here is about $3.50, $4 for a large cup of coffee, and price of a pint. I guess if you're talking domestic, it's about $4.50, and then it's about $6 if you're interested. If you want one of the more kind of craft beers. Although I actually don't drink coffee or beer myself, so I had to kind of do some research on that before we came on the air today.
And Caoimhin, what will St. Patrick's Day be like there in Spokane?
Yeah, anyway, so we have some organisations here that are dedicated to celebrating Irishness. The Spokane Limerick Society is actually the kind of, so Limerick and Spokane are actually twinned. And Saoirse has more soccer trophies to show you guys again.
Lovely.
And we're actually, on St. Patrick's Day itself, we're going to Tommy the Gulgary Coast Show, actually, not full.
Yeah.
Coast Show Larry the Father. We're fun number one. So yeah, we're going to a party on St. Patrick's Day, and it'll be, I guess, kind of a family-friendly event. But we're going to make some Guinness pies and have some kind of St. Patrick's dessert, and obviously everyone will be wearing green. And Spokane has a St. Patrick's Day parade as well. Although I think this year it's on the Saturdays. They actually don't. They usually don't. They have it on the nearest Saturday to the date itself. They don't usually have it on the 17th.
Well, tá pictúri dasa and chin. Ashling, will tusig sul gomorle lala podrig.
Will tusig sul gomorle lala podrig?
Yeah.
Tá, no need.
The bhar fad. Come here, is there any rumours, Caoimhin, that you're going to start in Girls' School in Spokane?
No, unfortunately, it's not. Yeah, just we've only ourselves for the moment. But I would like to if we had some more money and more time.
But
maybe in the future.
They qualify for a grant now if there's a small girl that's out there.
We'll send you a grant from Ireland. Fair play to you. Caoimhin Gurmil Mad, agus Palini Freshman. Thanks so much for joining us today. Agus Law Ella Forik, Honayiv Fad.
Isn't that absolutely fantastic,
It is.
Maura?
It's brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
Do you remember we